And joining us today on our Book Talk segment, great to welcome a man who's written a really interesting book with the unusual title of The Beer Drinker's Guide to God, the whole and holy truth about lager, loving, and living. We're joined today by Father William B. Miller, also known as Father Bill Miller. He actually lives out in Hawaii, so we're going to find out about that and about the book and his life. Very interesting story he tells in his book. And Father Bill, good to have a chance to chat with you. I had a chance to read through the book, and I like your style.
Oh, thank you so much, Doug. Well, it's good to be with you, and aloha from Hawaii.
I was there when I was 10 years old. I won't say the year, but I want to get back there.
It's a good place to visit and a good place to live, I tell you what.
I live vicariously through watching Hawaii Five-0, the reruns on DVD, and the current one. So I guess I get to see it that way.
That's a good way to see it. That's a great show.
Let's talk a little bit about how you wound up in Hawaii. I know you've also pastored in other parts of the country. I guess Texas is one of them, and the Midwest as well. But how long have you been in Hawaii?
Well, I've been out here a little over 8 years now, and I like to tease my friends on the mainland that I was called to suffer for Jesus in Hawaii. And, of course, they do not find that funny at all. But it's a real blessing to live here. I have a wonderful parish in the main city on the island of Kauai, which is the Garden Island, and it's a really active and growing and vibrant parish. But I sort of have a dual life. I also own a bar and music venue in a small town in Texas, and so I guess you could say I am at home in the pub and the parish.
Marfa, Texas. Now, I don't know where that is. Give me kind of a landmark near.
It is truly in the middle of nowhere. It's a quirky little arts town way out in the desert. It's about 45 minutes to Mexico. It's near Big Bend National Park. The closest big city would be El Paso, but even from El Paso, it's about a 3-hour drive. It's a really interesting town, an interesting mix of artists and musicians and ranchers, and it's a high desert community, so the climate is really nice. And my founding partner and I had been going out there for years. I actually used to go out there and hike and camp and raft and canoe the Rio Grande River. And both of us at different times kind of fell in love with this little town and decided that we had this crazy vision of opening up a music venue and bar. And so we started looking for just the right building, and we found a 100-year-old adobe building that was for sale. It had several incarnations. It was a feed store for a while. It was a private residence, and then for about 75 years, it was the Memorial Funeral Home of Marfa. And interestingly enough, that was the building that we chose, and we created a music venue. We still have the pews from the chapel, and we have those in the main music room, and it's really quite an interesting space, and we get an interesting assortment of humanity out there, as you might imagine.
Now, do you have to commute back and forth periodically, or you let your partner handle it?
Well, it's a long commute. We have a manager who lives there. He's a musician, and he's been in the music and bar business for a long time, and he does a great job for us. I get out there maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and, they let me do really important things like pick up the trash and clean the restrooms and wash dishes and all those important things that owners of bars get to do. They do let me produce a couple of music shows each year. I do a big gospel show every Memorial Day weekend, and I bring in some musician friends from New Orleans and Texas, other parts of Texas. And so we're looking forward to that. This coming Memorial Day Sunday, I'll be out there.
I just want to give the audience, tell them right now, I don't think I mentioned it earlier, you're an Episcopal priest, And
right.
they're still called priests, but I just want to say, make it clear, it's Episcopal priests. So they're a little more relaxed, I guess, than maybe the Catholic Church, right?
Well, one of the mottos of the Episcopal Church is, where two or three are gathered, there is always a fifth. And so that gives you a little bit of insight into our community. It's a fun-loving, sort of creation-centered, I guess, Celtic expression of the Mother Church, and we have a good time together.
Now, I think the point of the book, from me reading, I'm going to give you a chance. Obviously, you wrote it, but these are essays, kind of your thoughts on your experiences and different things. And I think from what I got out of it, it's just kind of saying, even though you're a priest, or you can still have religious beliefs and believe in God, but God still wants you to enjoy life, right? Is that kind of the basic premise that you're trying to get across?
Absolutely. I think that's well said. There's a verse from the Psalms that says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." And I think that's probably the underlying theme underneath all of the essays, although, each of the essays speak to different themes. They're real-life stories based on my life experience. I try to tell the truth and tell the whole story, the whole and holy truth, as I call it. And I really believe that, God has given us all kinds of good gifts in creation. And as we enjoy and appreciate and share those, the better our lives are and the better the collective life of the world.
There are a lot of passages in the Bible. You point out some of them that have to deal with wine and enjoying a drink now and then. So
yeah.
The good Lord put that down on earth for a reason. Obviously not to be abused, but it's not to be totally shunned if you want a drink or two, right?
Well, that's absolutely right. And we can abuse or misuse any number of good gifts that have been entrusted to us, whether it's drink or food or work, or with some people it's even religion that can become an addiction and can be used to alienate or denigrate another human being. But the religious tradition, I think, is filled with examples from the Psalms. God has given us wine to gladden the heart. In the Christian tradition, you have the holy sacraments, the fruit of the vine. You have Jesus' first miracle at that wedding reception in Cana when they, God forbid, ran out of wine, and Jesus' mother said, "They're out of wine. What are you going to do about it?" And he turned water into wine. And then, ongoing through creation, or through religious tradition and religious history, there was St. Bridget in Ireland who lived during the 5th century. And she wrote a beautiful prayer that began with this phrase, "I should like a great lake of finest ale for the King of Kings." And she goes on to describe how she wants the ale to be made from the fruits of faith and this feast of choicest food to be made from forgiving love. And then you fast forward a bit, and some think that it was a Celtic saint, maybe even St. Patrick, who invented the distilling process for whiskey. And even today, in my opinion, some of the best beer in the world is still brewed in Trappist monasteries by monks, holy and whole men of God, I think of them. And I've had the blessing, privilege to go and spend some time with the monks in one of the breweries, one of the Trappist breweries there in Belgium. And that's one of the stories in the book, and one of the things that I write about was that experience.
You got a lot of great stories in the book, and can you tell a kind of capsulized version, Father Bill, about you were almost chaplain to the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders? I enjoyed that.
Well, I'm a man of true faith, and sometimes my prayers are not answered, as you might imagine. It was the Super Bowl, back when the Super Bowl was in Houston, and I somehow got invited to one of the big parties with an A-list of celebrities, excluding myself, of course. I'm not sure how I got into that party, but sure enough, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders were there, and they were just delightful and were kind enough to entertain my ridiculous notions that they might want to participate in the liturgical procession the next morning at Trinity Church. They vetoed that idea, but they were very kind and gave me an autographed photo that I still keep on a very special shelf, and it says, "Cheers to Father Bill." So that ended up becoming a story called Cheerleader Chaplain, and into that story is interwoven some other experiences I had with the Houston Texans cheerleaders, and really the point of the story is that, you know, there is somebody cheering for us somewhere, and even though my plan didn't work out exactly as I had hoped, it was still a wonderful adventure and a great experience.
And you got great stories like that throughout the book, but the underlying message, as you talked about, kind of just get out there and enjoy life. And I can tell you're doing that, Father Bill, and when I get out to Hawaii next time, I'm going to come and do a service at your church. How about that?
Please do, and I will. There's free wine every Sunday, and I'll even buy you a beer afterwards. So
sounds good. Father, give out a website so we can get a hold of this book, The Beer Drinker's Guide to God.
Yes, my website is fatherbill.net, www.fatherbill.net, and this book and my other book, The Gospel According to Sam, a book of stories about my dog and other animals, you can access from the website.
Father Bill, pleasure to talk to you for a few minutes, and enjoy yourself out there, and we'll talk to you again down the road. Thanks for